Hello everyone, it's Martin, aka Anders, and today is a video where I personally get to have a lot of fun. I wasn't one of the lucky content creators who got early access to Skye, but that hasn't stopped the gears from turning, and in this video I'm going to take a quick look at where I think she might fit into the metagame upon her release, and some niche uses for her utility that are really going to highlight how she can shift the overall metagame. That said, let's hop right into it. To kick us off, we have the who the hell is Skye anyway question. I imagine that most, if not all of you, have already seen spoilers on her though. This is the kind of news that you can't really ignore if you follow Valorant at frankly any level, but I just want to cover my bases, so we're going to talk about her kit real quickly. First up, we have her E, her innate ability, Guiding Light. This is a directable flash. She throws a bird, and by holding the mouse button, she can maneuver it rather freely, actually. There's some interesting strafe mechanics that can be used here to make it hard to shoot, and can curve it around walls, and can move while it is thrown as well, which is important. That indicates that she may be able to be played closer in nature to Phoenix than Breach, in that she can flash herself in because she can follow her flash. Something that is also extremely important to note here is that the flash has a different audio cue when it flashes people as opposed to when it doesn't. The reason this is important is because it turns the flash into not just a flash that has flexible positioning and maneuverability, but also a soft information tool. That has a ton of value and is probably the most underappreciated element to this portion of the kit that I've seen thus far. Next ability is going to be Q Trailblazer, where she spawns a thylacine, a Tasmanian tiger, and it's basically a souped out Sova Owl drone. She gets to maneuver it extremely freely. You can reverse directions, you can do tons of crazy stuff with it. The tiger itself is nearsighted, so it's another soft information tool. However, it can be reactivated, at which point the tiger will lunge and stun anything it collides with. So we're talking about an owl drone that is land-bound and nearsighted, but can be reactivated to become a concussion grenade. Next up, we have her C, her regrowth ability. This is the one that has everyone up in a fit, but I can completely understand why, frankly, because it's absurd. It is based off of a pool of healing, very similar to the fuel bars that are used on Viper's abilities. She can channel it, and across 5 seconds, she heals all allies that are within the space for the ability and also have a line of sight to her. And based off of the clips that I have seen, it can heal literally your entire team, assuming that they meet those criteria, for a functional full 100 health. That might be a little bit off in terms of numbers, but based off of the clips that I've seen, I am fairly confident in saying that, and it looks like the channel time from full pool to empty pool is roughly 5 seconds. That ability is nuts, and the implications it has for high-tempo compositions when they get to post-plant, you can just hold C and heal your entire team back up. Pretty crazy. Wouldn't be surprised if it sees nerfs very similar to Sage's in the semi-near future. But that's that. And the last ability in her kit, Seekers, is a direct copy pasta from the wolves in Spike Rush. So she activates the ability and spawns 3 Seekers, which are these homing jellyfish, is what the animation is, and they will hunt out your opponents no matter where they are on the map. They will fan out and go in the direction of the nearest opponents, and they are pretty hard to trick. If an omen teleports, it will follow the omen. If the person does really anything to try and throw it off, if a Sage suddenly boosts herself, it will break the wall underneath her by running into it over a prolonged period of time and then still tag her. You can't trick them. They will hunt you down. And so that's really the essence of Skye's kit, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how I think we can leverage that in the current metagame and really just use it as an upgrade to current agents in certain playstyles and compositions. The main composition I want to look for here is the Shock and Awe variant that FPX has used quite significantly on Bind in the recent past. This lineup is made out of Breach, Brimstone, Cypher, Raze, and Sova, and shares a lot of common elements that play directly into what Skye wants to do playstyle-wise. For some context on this comp specifically, it was brought to prominence by FPX, however it's been recently picked up by a number of other teams like Summon FC, so it has a fair amount of significance in the European bind submeta. If we look at the overall pick rate over the last patch, it's just over 1.5%, however if we limit that to just bind, it jumps to almost 5.5%. And when we look at win rates, you see why this comp in particular is worth making note of, with an overall win rate of just under 53.5% and a bind-specific win rate that creeps above 54. Moving over to these maps, I'm going to give a quick rundown of a very sort of ground-level example of how this composition is put into use, and then highlight how the inclusion of Skye could make it both more efficient and more effective. The thing that I want to highlight in particular is the typical positioning of Breach in U-Haul. That positioning generally occurs because of how powerful he is being able to faultline A main, as well as flash both through U-Haul itself and through Truck if he's forced into backside, to enable his team to retake should they have a flank option or generally stall fast A pushes. This, however, is mostly accomplished by putting a Sova recon arrow into A main, allowing that fault line to have guaranteed value or at least preliminary information before it's fired off. So you're allocating two abilities to accomplish the sort of stall that you're looking for here. We're going to look at a clip right now about how that can go down, and more specifically how it can go sideways. And then we're going to look at how Skye's incorporation in the composition could avoid that.
Oh, well, you know what? I bet Summon are crazy happy about winning that round out.
Yeah.
And that TP over. He still gets caught. He's been flashed as well, but Angel, he's surviving up close now. Oh, he's getting in on time! Catches him completely off guard. And a massive play by the Omen.
Mo trying to make some magic happen with that Hunter's Fury. He's been a dominant force for Summon over and over again. Three-man retake this time around. They certainly won't have the numbers. And Angel, he's not done yet. He's looking in for the ace. He even blows up the boombot just in time with the last few bullets. He's going on the hunt. He's large and in charge, and he's getting it done. The ace coming out, and Angel living the dream, still stepping it up. And my, oh my, he just brought in a big round for FPX. That's a comeback and a half. He was not happy with that previous one on the defuse.
So this clip highlights exactly what I was talking about, less the use of the Sova utility. FPX is pushing with such loud utility into the side of Summon FC that they don't need any recon to know that people are pushing up A main. There's already a Paranoia that's been slung out, there's an Al drone that's been pushed up, and so the fault line goes out. However, Angel, whose team runs this comp on a regular basis, aggressively TPs into U-Haul corner, knowing that the fault line is coming out, pushes it, and manages to get 2 for free. This is an extreme punishment of the way that this comp is played historically, and Skye has an innate ability to resolve this. Imagine if that fault line was instead a Trailblazer. The Skye's Trailblazer pushes up through A main and can immediately clear if there's any sort of trickery, like a backwards facing Omen TP, just because it will have line of sight of him after he pushes up far enough to get that TP off. But not only that, if this Skye Trailblazer is used early in the round and not in direct counteraction to a fast push up A main, you have the ability to push it through teleporter. If we go back to that first example where we are using that Sova recon dart at the beginning of the round to ensure that our fault line gets value, move Sova instead over to the B site, have him use that recon dart into hookah, use the Trailblazer to immediately clear A main, turn it around, and if the recon dart sees anyone hookah, you yeet that sucker through the teleporter and you push the people hookah with your concussion grenade and get stall value on both of the major corridors onto sites, regardless of the sort of trickery that your opponents might be pulling. Moving over to this next use case, we have an example of one of the other main reasons that Breach is included in this composition. This is going to be, frankly, the most recurrent retake trajectory that we see come out, where Breach is going to be playing U-Haul and then rotate through CT. And should he have his ultimate, the best retake ultimate in the game as far as I'm concerned at this point in time, his ability to use it from CT and push site is absolutely insane. As you can see, the hitbox is massive and clears basically everything other than far corner elbow, close right cubby, hookah, and deep octo and B long holds if people have pivoted back to that position. It's not perfect though, and the other use cases that Breach Ultimate has have hard counters as well, as we're about to see in this clip. The Breach Ulti isn't necessarily being used for retake, it's being used for stall, more similar to the fault line example we looked at earlier, but shows sort of the gaps in the armor of the Rolling Thunder use cases, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about how Skye might be able to resolve those.
And they understand, you know, we talked about visualizing things earlier, but you're visualizing what it looks like from your teammate's perspective and how you can help them out. So I feel like it's relatively... Oh, he's dodged that completely! That timing on the teleport! The Shadow Step perfectly used to get behind the ultimate as the Rolling Thunder came in. That was amazing!
Oh, brilliant damage being done. So far, they're just trading it out, but a nice bit of softening up done by Shao with the Hunter's Fury. Now it's a 3v2. Mo's still in it. And he's been that player who can just be a huge difference maker when it comes to it. He's trying to avoid the flashes. He's just hiding down, waiting for them to get the spike plant on go. They're all testing it. Meadow's having a good scout around, trying to get the extra information in. Oh, Shao. This could be perfect. This could work out well for him. And he looks for it. He finds him. Now he knows the push is potentially going to come through. Mo's position's been revealed. And this becomes difficult now for someone to try and handle. They're being forced out of the areas that every step of the way they want to go for it. But with Chak only having the Spectre in hand, this might be a huge ask of him. Shadow instantly deals with it. No problem at all. And Mo is now all alone. Surely you just fade away. But he's not even going to have the chance. He tries to go in for it.
This example highlights why the untrickability of Seekers is so valuable. The Omen TPs directly over the Rolling Thunder, fully nullifying it and allowing him to get control of U-Haul. If this was instead a Skye holding U-Haul, she used Seekers, the Omen would have been tagged and nearsighted before he was even into U-Haul doors and the push is nullified. If we go back to that retake example, a similar increase in value is also present, where I was talking about the Rolling Thunder's inability to clear the far side of Elbow, as well as an inability to clear Hookah or Octagon. Seekers will go there. They will chase people down no matter where they are, and even if they're shot on their way, they give you the directional information of where the opponents are, where the post-plant positions are currently set, and how your team needs to play around them. And would it really be an Anders video if I didn't have some crackpot example to close us out? This one I don't have legitimate video evidence from any major tournament on because frankly people don't play this stuff. But I don't think that delegitimizes it at all. We're going to take a look at how I think this might be leverageable on Split. This is my current favorite defensive configuration for Split. As you can see, we have a Viper, we have a Breach, we have a Raze, we have an Omen, and we have a Cypher. We play weak side B with Cypher more or less running solo hold. The Viper will drop her wall from A site across both A main, ramp, and mid, and then pivot back through CT to get a one-way inside of mailroom. And then we'll have Raze covering vents, and Omen and Breach playing two-man, aggressive forward positioning on A. The way this will go down is Omen from ramp drops a dark cover into Ramen. That dark cover is then boom botted by the Raze in vents. And as soon as that happens, we put our aggressive front forwards on the A side of the map. We have Omen Paranoia out, we have Breach Fault Line out, and then Breach will double flash in the Omen as they both push into A lobby. This gives you aggressive information and floods the opposing team towards the side of the map where you have the majority of set util. You're saying, don't go A, either go mid where we have two people standing, a Viper wall and a Viper one-way, or go B where you're going to be running headlong into a bunch of Cypher util. It's incredibly powerful and frankly one of the best ways to play this map at this point in time as far as I'm concerned. We're just yet to see it. If we look at how Skye can be used here, things get way more interesting though. The general setup stays mostly the same. Same Viper wall, same dark covers, same boom bot, same Cypher util. The key difference is going to come similar to what we saw when we were looking at Bind, where we're no longer going to be using a Breach fault line, we're going to be using a Trailblazer. We're no longer just going to be having this long linear stun, we're going to be having a stun that has information attached to it and something that can be pushed with as opposed to a single use ability. We have the Skye who will wait for the Paranoia to go out, and then following that Paranoia, we will have the Trailblazer pushing. Omen will follow the Trailblazer into lobby, and Skye will be close behind. As soon as she gets to A main, she can use her guiding lights as well to flash him into A lobby proper should it be necessary, and can even do fancier things like curving it around into sewer and clearing that directly, or all the way into the back corners of lobby should we think that we had pushed them back that far. Overall, it has more dynamism than the sort of static use of fault line and breach flashes, and can be played more flexibly around how we think our opponents are reacting to our aggression. So this is just a couple examples of how I think Skye could be quickly integrated into the overall metagame. I'll be completely honest, of all of the things that I've theorized, I'm keeping all of the spiciest stuff to myself, and depending on how things go, things could get pretty wild. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna be using a lot of the strategies that I've currently come across with the teams that I work with, and if pro teams use even half of them, we're gonna see some pretty major shifts in how a couple of the maps are played, especially the new one. More on that coming soon. I'd love to hear down in the comments below if you guys have any use cases that you've thought of for Skye where you're like, holy shit, this is busted. Would love to see if it's something that I've thought of as well, or how you guys are thinking about how this new agent could potentially be used. And I'll be completely honest, was super glad to see this news come across my radar. Obviously, between the Ignition series ending and First Strike starting here soon, there hasn't been a whole lot of tournaments to cover, and so something exciting to speculate about was a welcome change of pace. Super excited to see what you guys say down in the comments and what your thoughts are on this new agent in general. Per the usual, you can find me all across the internet. If you appreciate this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.